All right, Patrick, take it away.
All right, good morning. So, Darwin asked me to give a brief overview about LEED and Passive House. So I know that we have some bigger projects coming up, and I think LEED could be a good a tool to use for these larger projects. So there's a couple different reasons to use LEED. One is to upsell. You know, we can make more money by saying that providing LEED will give tax incentives, energy savings, different financial incentives, because a lot of people, you know, they don't actually care about the sustainable design initiatives. But if you tell them that there are financial incentives, you can upsell the project or get them to implement it. More importantly, it's good design, and I think that we should be doing good design. You know, we're doing the framework for design excellence for that reason, not for any incentives, where LEED is very similar to that framework. So they're like the framework for design excellence, there's different categories. So we have sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, indoor environmental quality, innovation and operations and regional priority. And for every project that we're implementing LEED, you're gonna get points for each of these. So you're gonna have to be somewhat of an expert in all of these different categories, but it's okay because there's a guide, there's a framework that tells you about each point that you can get and kind of explains it to you. So it's a little overwhelming at first, looking at all the different categories and all the different points you can accumulate. But here is the system. So to get certified, you need minimum 40 points. So 40 to 49 is certified, 50 to 59 is silver, 60 to 79 is gold, 80 plus is platinum, very difficult. There are more tax incentives if you can get to gold and platinum for commercial buildings. Another way to upsell it. You can see the breakdown of the points, like integrated process, there's only 1 point, but for energy and atmosphere, there's a lot more points. If you look at, this is the point system chart. So you can't really read it, but each one of these is a point that we can get. And then some of them are more than 1 point. I wish it was a little bit clearer, but once you start getting these points, you can see like where you're gonna end up on the certification scale. There are prerequisite points, so here you need to achieve all of the prerequisites to even be certified, so every 100%, and then you start adding up your points. This is an example of just 1 point you can get. So in the guide, it's hundreds of pages, you know, it tells you about each point. So for this one, it's a sensitive land protection. It tells you the intent of the point. It gives you some resources, like links that you can understand more about it. And then it tells you the options. So for option 1, to get this point, you can locate the development footprint on land that's been previously developed. So you put the building on a parking lot, or if there was another building there that was torn down, easy point. And then option 2 is you avoid farmland, floodplains, habitat. The point is that there are so many points, it's overwhelming, but if you're going through the guide, you can see which points are kind of the easy ones to get, so we can start accumulating. You know, like this one's just a given. If you're building on a parking lot, easy point. Some points are more difficult, but depending on what certification level we're trying to get. The first tier is LEED Green Associate. There are no courses or anything, you just have to pass a test, you need an 85%, and you become a LEED Green Associate. They have lots of study materials, and maybe we could set up you know, a study group if anyone's interested in getting LEED certified. I would join that. You know, so I'm LEED GA. I'm not any of the other ones. I think that if we are going to go to tier 2, we look at building design and construction. That's for our larger projects, or LEED for homes, just residential. But yeah, I think really we should focus on the building design and construction, which is actually this chart here. Now there's another certification that Darwin wanted me to talk about, passive house. So the difference between the two, it's a big difference. So with LEED, it's talking about a million different things, a million different point categories. There's energy efficiency, water conservation, materials and resources, indoor air quality, innovation, all the different categories and all the different points. I think there's 110 different points you can get, and each one of those can be pretty complex. With passive house, they're focused on energy efficiency only. So there are different guides through the passive house system to let you know if you've reached certification. I also have I'll show it at the end, an Excel sheet that shows, similar to this, how you get the passive house certification. It's not a test, it's a course that you sign up for. Let me put that up here. Yeah, so it's a self-guided course. It's $450. You need to get continuing education credits. I think it's 12 credits every 3 years, and you can become a passive house associate. And then you can submit the documents to a certifier to get our project certified. So LEED has the point systems, Passive House has the energy performance criteria. I think I summed this up with my talk. Let's see. So there's two different standards. There's a European standard and there's a American standard. We're going to be looking at PHIUS, P-H-I-U-S, which is the one located in Chicago. They're not even affiliated, so be careful if you're looking at different criteria. We're going to be looking at PHIUS. There's 3 different types. There's Passive House certification, which is the basic. There's Passive House Net Zero, and then there's a retrofit certification for for existing buildings. We don't really care about how they differ. We're just going to do the Chicago one. Passive House is going to look at these criteria: the thermal bridging, how airtight a building is, the heat recovery, shading, orientation and form, moisture management, efficient, I'm forgetting the acronym, DHW, anyone? Heat. Anyways, once you get Passive House certified, you know. Daylighting and solar gain, high performance windows and doors. And then I have the chart. So this is the document you submit. So you'll type in all your project information, you know, what systems you're using. You basically have to fill out this these forms. It's kind of intense. And there are no tax credits for this unless you're, you know, getting the solar credit or renewable energy credit for Massachusetts. There's no like LEED has the tax incentives for gold and platinum, but this is just the incentive for energy savings for the client. But yeah, both systems are kind of intense. You'll know like how to fill this out if you take the course. And yeah, those are the 2 systems that we're looking at.
Good, that's very good.
So a couple of things, why do they matter? He mentioned to us that it matters because, you know, it's good design, good practice, and good way of selling it. But also, now municipalities like Cambridge and Somerville are going above and beyond the code, and they're creating their own super stretch code. In Cambridge, what I've heard is that they want the big buildings, not like one family, but multifamily and commercial, to be LEED certifiable. So you have to prove to them that you could at least get certified as LEED as an architect. You have to show them, look, it meets all these requirements. So that's becoming a requirement. Now, Passive House is a requirement in for more than I think 20 units or so, I believe it is, in Somerville and any super stretch community. So we have to take a look at that because that's gonna become a consultant that we're gonna have to work with. We may not do this ourselves, but we need to know that this is gonna come so that it doesn't cause delays in the project, so that the client can retain a, passive house consultant or a LEED certified consultant, whichever the case may be. It's the same thing with the HERS. It's a requirement for anything above 1,000 square foot and residential, but like this one is more on the commercial side. But like we need to be aware that this is gonna happen, this is gonna be required, so that we can begin making this information accessible and also guide the client to the right resources, like who is the consultant that's gonna do this early on. But yeah, it's good stuff. I encourage everyone to try to sign up for this stuff and let us know.
Yeah, and you'll learn best practices. If you take the Passive House course, you're gonna learn about thermal bridging and the best practices, what details to use and what materials to use. Different companies are putting out newer materials that have, better R values and stuff like that. So when you're making your details, you know who to source and stuff. So.
Do you know where you can take the course? Is it online?
It's through FIUS, PHIUS. Just go to their website and you can. I think it's $450.
Who wants to do it, guys? I was.
I think Tim's gonna do it. Tim wants to do it because Angeli's there from. But yeah, so I would say gang up between
We should do at least a couple of us at the office. Do it. I could sign in.
Yeah, it would be good if we had one LEED,
Yeah.
B, D, and C, and then one Passive House at least. So then if we need a project with LEED, you can have that. If you need a project with Passive House, you have that. But
Yeah. Good job, Patrick.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much.